What if Anakin and Ahsoka turned against the Jedi? The great halls of the Jedi Temple felt colder than ever as Ahsoka Tano walked through them one last time. She had made her decision, to leave behind the order that had failed her, the institution that had cast her aside without a second thought. The weight of betrayal settled on her shoulders, yet she felt strangely liberated. Anakin Skywalker, her former master, stood behind her, his expression caught between sorrow and frustration. He had pleaded with her to stay, to fight for her place, but deep down, he understood. The Jedi had abandoned her when she needed them most. "I can't stay, Master," Ahsoka said, her voice firm but tinged with pain. "Not after what they did." Anakin clenched his fists, looking away. The Jedi Council's decision to cast her out had been wrong. They had betrayed everything they claimed to stand for. "Then I won't stay either," he said suddenly. Ahsoka's eyes widened in shock. "Anakin, you—" "They don't trust me," he interrupted. "I've given them everything, fought their war, obeyed their orders, and yet they still keep me at arm's length. If they can throw you away so easily, who's to say they wouldn't do the same to me?" Ahsoka hesitated. She didn't want Anakin to throw his life away for her. But a part of her was grateful. She wouldn't have to walk away alone. And so, they left the Jedi Temple together, stepping into the unknown. At first, life outside the Order was not as difficult as they had feared. Anakin and Ahsoka had their combat skills, their knowledge of the galaxy, and their reputations. They found work as mercenaries, taking contracts from local militias, planetary governments, and resistance groups. They vowed to never take jobs that went against their morals, only working for those who truly needed protection. They liberated oppressed villages, hunted slavers, and sabotaged corrupt warlords. But despite their efforts, they could not escape the anger simmering within them. Ahsoka's resentment of the Jedi Order only grew with time. She still carried the wounds of betrayal, the knowledge that the people she had once trusted with her life had abandoned her so easily. Anakin was haunted by his own demons. Without the structure of the Order, his emotions ran unchecked. His frustration with the Jedi festered, and as time went on, he found himself questioning their teachings more and more. He had followed their code all his life, yet where had it gotten him? "We're doing more good now than we ever did as Jedi," Anakin said one evening, watching the twin suns of a distant world set. Ahsoka nodded but did not respond. She still remembered Obi-Wan's words before they left. "The Jedi are not perfect, but we will always be your friends." Yet, the more she thought about it, the more it felt like a lie. Their life as mercenaries was not as easy as they had first believed. Money was scarce. Honest work that paid well was rare. The more they struggled, the more desperate they became. At first, they took morally grey jobs, escorting smugglers, intimidating politicians, stealing supplies from corrupt officials. But soon, the line between right and wrong blurred. One day, they accepted a contract to eliminate a senator who was allegedly exploiting his people. But when they arrived at his home, they found no proof of his corruption, only a frightened man trying to do his best in a broken system. Ahsoka hesitated. "Anakin, this isn't right." Anakin clenched his jaw. "We need the credits, Ahsoka." She looked into his eyes and saw something that frightened her. Resolve. When the senator tried to run, Anakin cut him down. Ahsoka stared at the body, her stomach twisting. They had crossed a line, and she knew it. But neither of them spoke of it again. Word of their actions spread, reaching the ears of an old friend. Obi-Wan Kenobi had been meditating when he first heard whispers of two powerful warriors, one of them a Togruta, the other a man wielding a blue lightsaber with the skill of a Jedi. He had ignored the rumors at first, but when the Council presented him with a new mission, he could no longer deny the truth. Anakin and Ahsoka had fallen. He tracked them to the Outer Rim, to a barren world where mercenaries gathered to sell their services. There, he found them, his former student and his former friend, dressed in battle-worn armor, their expressions hardened. "Obi-Wan," Ahsoka said, surprised. "I had hoped it wasn't true," Obi-Wan said, his voice laced with sadness. "But I see now that it is." "We're not your apprentices anymore, Obi-Wan," Anakin said coldly. "No, you are not," Obi-Wan agreed, igniting his lightsaber. The battle was fierce. Obi-Wan fought with the skill and precision of a Jedi Master, but Anakin and Ahsoka had spent years honing their abilities outside the rigid teachings of the Order. They fought with raw power, their movements unpredictable. In the end, Obi-Wan found himself outmatched. Anakin had grown too powerful, and Ahsoka had mastered new techniques. With a final strike, Anakin disarmed Obi-Wan, his lightsaber skidding across the ground. Obi-Wan fell to his knees, expecting the killing blow. But it never came. "Go back to your Jedi," Anakin said. "Tell them to leave us alone." Obi-Wan picked up his weapon, looking at the two of them with sorrow. "You may think you have escaped the Jedi, but you are still prisoners, prisoners of your own anger." He left them with those final words, but they haunted Ahsoka for days. The Jedi Council did not take Obi-Wan's warning lightly. Ahsoka and Anakin were too powerful, too unpredictable. They had already defeated one of the Order's greatest warriors. If they were allowed to continue down their path, they could become a threat unlike any the Jedi had faced before. They had to be stopped. What had begun as a quiet departure from the Order had escalated into something far more dangerous. Reports from across the Outer Rim painted a grim picture. Two rogue Force wielders, once among the most powerful Jedi, now operating without constraint. It was not just the power they held that frightened the Jedi, but the anger that fueled it. Obi-Wan had faced them once and barely escaped with his life. Now, the Jedi would bring their full force to bear. Mace Windu, Plo Koon, Kyodimundi, Sassy Teen, and Shak Ti led an elite strike force, each accompanied by squadrons of Jedi Knights and clone troopers. Their mission was clear: bring Anakin and Ahsoka in, dead or alive. The ruins of an ancient city on the Outer Rim set the stage for the battle. Once a thriving metropolis, now it was nothing more than crumbling towers and wind-carved rubble. It was the perfect battleground, a place far from Republic eyes, where the Jedi could eliminate two of their most dangerous former members without the burden of politics or scrutiny. Anakin and Ahsoka stood atop a broken bridge overlooking the approaching Force. They had felt them coming through the Force long before their ships appeared on the horizon. "So this is it?" Ahsoka asked, her voice steady but weary. Anakin exhaled slowly. "They were never going to let us go. I was a fool to think otherwise." Ahsoka clenched her jaw, gripping her dual lightsabers. "We don't have to kill them." Anakin's face darkened. "They wouldn't extend the same courtesy to us." The Jedi landed in formation, dozens of lightsabers igniting in unison, casting a glow over the rubble-strewn battlefield. At the forefront, Mace Windu stepped forward, his violet blade humming in the cold air. "Anakin Skywalker, Ahsoka Tano." His voice was firm, unwavering. "You have strayed too far. Surrender now, and the Council will be merciful." Anakin scoffed. "Merciful? Like you were to Ahsoka? Like you were to me?" Plo Koon's voice was calm, but there was no softness in it. "You chose this path, Anakin. No one forced you." Ahsoka looked at them with a mixture of anger and sorrow. "And what? You'll put us in chains like criminals? Execute us as traitors?" Mace's grip tightened on his hilt. "You left us no choice." Anakin ignited his saber, the blue glow illuminating his face. "We will not surrender." Mace Windu was the first to strike, launching forward with a brutal overhead slash aimed straight at Anakin's head. Anakin parried with lightning-fast precision, the clash of their sabers sending sparks cascading down the ruins. Ahsoka was immediately beset by Plo Koon and Ki-Adi-Mundi. She flipped backward, deflecting both of their strikes with her twin blades before landing gracefully on a fallen column. The battlefield erupted into chaos, the rogue duo fighting with every ounce of skill they possessed. Anakin's movements were a blend of Jedi discipline and raw, unchecked aggression. His blade wove through the battlefield like a storm, cutting through clones and slashing through the Jedi ranks with terrifying efficiency. Ahsoka moved with an almost supernatural grace, evading strikes and striking back with surgical precision. She fought defensively, unwilling to kill, but even she knew mercy could only last so long. Mace Windu pressed the attack, his mastery of Vopad pushing Anakin to his limits. Their blades clashed again and again, the sheer force of their strikes shaking the ruins beneath them. Anakin gritted his teeth, pouring his rage into each counterstrike. "You think you can beat me?" Anakin snarled. "You never trusted me. You never believed in me." "I believed in the Jedi Code," Mace snapped back. "And you betrayed it." Anakin roared, unleashing a devastating force wave that sent Windu flying back into a crumbling pillar. Before Mace could recover, Anakin was upon him, their duel continuing with renewed intensity. Meanwhile, Ahsoka struggled against Plo Koon and Ki-Adi-Mundi. The two Jedi Masters fought with perfect coordination, forcing her into a constant retreat. She flipped over a barrage of strikes, landing beside Anakin as they both fought back to back. "This isn't working," she said between breaths. "There's too many of them." Anakin's eyes burned with defiance. "Then we bring the whole damn place down." Anakin reached out with the Force, feeling the fractures in the weakened structures around them. With a tremendous pull, he yanked entire pillars free, sending them crashing down into the Jedi and clones below. Dust and debris choked the air as the battlefield turned into a deadly avalanche of stone and fire. Mace Windu and the others barely had time to react before they were forced into a desperate retreat. Ahsoka used the chaos to grab Anakin's arm. "We need to go now." The ruins trembled as explosions from fallen generators ignited, sending shock waves through the battlefield. Anakin and Ahsoka leapt from the collapsing bridge, barely escaping as the Jedi forces scrambled to safety. Through the dust and destruction, Mace Windu emerged, battered but alive. His expression was grim as he watched the smoke-filled horizon where the two rogues had vanished. "They're gone," Ki-Adi-Mundi said, stepping beside him. Plo Koon shook his head. "No, they're out there, and they're only getting stronger." Inside the cockpit of their stolen ship, Ahsoka slumped into the co-pilot's seat, exhausted. Anakin sat beside her, gripping the controls with white-knuckled intensity. His eyes burned with a mix of exhilaration and fury. "We have nowhere left to go," Ahsoka murmured. "They'll keep hunting us." With nowhere left to run, Anakin charted a course for the unknown regions. "There's something out there," he said. "Something powerful. I can feel it." Ahsoka, barely conscious, whispered, "Then let's find it." As they disappeared into the darkness of uncharted space, the Jedi Council breathed a sigh of relief. But they knew this was far from over. Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano were still out there, and one day they would return. Drop the scenarios you would like to see in the comments, and I will pick one every week. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one.